Hello everyone, this is Jim, and for the second part of this Access video, I'm going to show you how to create a query once you get one or more tables created in your database. Queries are really nice tools in Access, objects you can create in Access. They basically allow you to ask a question of the information in the tables you've got in your database. A good example of this might be if you run a business and you've got customers that you track as they order maybe information or order products off your website or maybe actually come into your store. And so you've got a big table of your customers with their names, addresses, city, state, etc. that they live in. So maybe you want to find out how many customers live in the state of California. You can actually create a query that would allow you to easily pull up all those customers that come from the state of California versus maybe having to look manually through a table that has maybe hundreds or thousands of records in it and having to try to pick out which customers come from California. It wouldn't be easy to do. So a query is a very useful tool, a very powerful part of Access that allows you to really manipulate your information so you can make a good decision as a person maybe running a business or doing some other kind of a task for your company. So I'm going to go ahead and pull open my database that I was just working on previously in the part 1 window video for Access. You can see my two tables I've got here in my database relationships window connected in that one-to-many relationship I built in my last video. So now I'm going to go ahead and actually create a query that will go ahead and allow me to pull in fields that I want in my query. And I'm going to get rid of one query I already built on this. And so I want to start kind of afresh as I kind of show you how to create a query. All right, so to go ahead and get started, I'm going to go to my Create tab, and from there I'm going to come over to the right-hand side, and you can get to this Create tab from anywhere within the database, whether you're looking at another table or you get everything closed in your database or you got the database open. So once you click on the Create tab, come over to the right-hand side in the other area, you're going to click on the Query Design button. So this will allow us to create a query in Design View, much like we did the table, but a little bit different look to it. All right, so when you first do this, you get a Show Table button, or dialog box rather. And so this shows us the two tables, or how many tables we've got in the database. So I'm going to add both these tables into my grid area in the top portion, so I'll be able to pull in fields from each of those tables into my query. So you highlight one table that you want, click the Add button, highlight the other table, hit the Add button, and then we can close off this dialog box. All right. And from here, what this design view is all about is you have your tables up here with each of your fields in those tables showing in those boxes. Down below is the grid area. That is where your fields are going to show up as you actually add the fields into your query. A couple different ways how you can add fields into your query. One is by actually clicking, holding down your left mouse button, and dragging it down to the first available or whatever available column there is down here in the grid area. So I'm going to do that in my customer ID field. I'm going to click, hold down my left mouse button, and drag down this first available field area. Release, see a little plus sign by the end of my mouse pointer. Shows it's ready to add it in. And I get customer ID put in there. All right, so I got one field in. Let's say I want to put in my first name field. Another way to do this is to actually just double click on the field and it'll zap in the next available slot down here. So I double click on the first name field, zaps in down here. So easy enough to do. Now let's say I didn't want that first name field in, I made a mistake. If I come up here to the top bar, I get a little downward pointing arrow so I can click, basically highlight this whole column, and then while I'm on the design tab that shows up while you're in the query, you've got a little delete columns button right here. So once I get this column highlighted, I click the delete columns button, it gets rid of that field. So it's very easy to manipulate the fields if you make a mistake and want to take out one and put in another field. So let's say I want to put in the last name field. I'll double click on that. I think double clicking is pretty easy to add in these fields, a little quicker than dragging and dropping them down. Then in the right hand table, the sales table, let's say I want the item field and then the price field. All right, so I got my four fields I want in my query. I'm going to go ahead and hit the save button so that I can save off, and I'm going to call this my sales query. Hit OK. Whoops, I got the same name as the table. So that's one thing you want to be aware of. Can't give objects the same name. So if I got a sales table already in my database, I can't give it the same name for my query. So I want to call it sales price for my query name. And Access will let you know when you make a mistake like that and prompt you to make a different name choice. Okay, so I've got this query basically created. Now I can run the query. So every time you open the query up, it'll run. So whenever you're adding new records in the tables, they will show up in your query as you're running your query over and over again whenever you open it up. So I click on the View button, and here's my query. I've got 2 records in it, customer ID fields, last name field. That's coming from my customer table, all right? And then my item field and my price field is coming from my sales table. So you can see one of the advantages of a query is I can actually bring in fields from 2 different tables and give you one view. And if you look at this, it looks just like a table. So right now, unless you really knew your database not that well, or maybe you didn't know your database that well, you wouldn't maybe right away know if you had a query opened up or a table opened up. That little icon right here with the 2 little squares look like tables interlaced. That tells me that this is a query and not a table. But again, beyond that, it basically will work and look very much just like a table. All right, so that's where sometimes students get confused. So make sure you kind of get that straight in your head as you kind of go through and work on queries. Now I'm going to go back in Design View. Now one thing you got to do with your query this week is you got to create a calculated field. A calculated field allows you to do some kind of mathematical operation against one of the numerical fields in your query. And so the key thing here is your field that you're going to do the calculated field expression on has to be either a number data type or like a currency data type. So I've got this price field that's in my query right now, and my price field is a currency data type. So I can actually do a calculated field expression with that field. So the easy way to do that is go to your next available grid column in the field box, and you can right click and go on Zoom. Just pull up a little dialog box that allows you to easily put in the calculated field expression you want. So I'm going to make one here that's called increase price, colon. So that'll be the field name, and then you put a colon, and after the colon is going to be the actual expression, mathematical expression. So now whenever you do a calculated field, you need to use square brackets around the actual fields you're doing the calculation against. So in this case, I'm using the price field, so you want to make sure you spell things out correctly. And your assignment, you'll be able to copy and paste the expression in. And then I'm going to multiply this by 1.1, which would be a 10% increase. All right, so here's my calculated expression. Increase price, colon, the word price, which is my field name, in square brackets, and then asterisk, multiplication, 1.1. I'm going to hit OK. So I got that calculated field expression right here. And you can see if I type this in directly into this box area, not all of it will show up. So it's nice to use that zoom box feature to be able to type in your whole expression. I'm going to save my query, and then I'll go ahead and run my query. And now you can see I've got my new field in my query, increased price. I can actually widen out this column a little bit so I can see my whole field name. So you can see my numbers, 14.289, 7.689. Those are actually 10% increases over these 2 prices, but you see I don't have currency formatting, and I've got 3 numbers after the decimal point. Easy way to correct that, I can go back in Design View and go into Properties and actually fix that. So I'll do that little extra something here that you can take a look at. You don't need to do that in your assignment this week, but it's kind of nice to know how to do it. So I will highlight this field, I calculate field expression, right-click, go to Properties. And then from here, you get a little property sheet box over on the right-hand side. On the format one, second one, click on that empty area there. Get the drop-down arrow. Choose currency. So that'll give you the currency formatting. And then from here, decimal places. I want 2 decimal places. So that'll fix up my number. So it'll be a currency formatting and 2 decimal points, numbers after the decimal point. I will save my query. And then I'll go ahead and run it. And now you see I've got my increased price field now, calculate field expression in my query. 1429 is my 10% increase from 12.99. And then 769 is my 10% increase from 6.99. So you can see this query is kind of giving me some additional information. And that's the nice thing about a calculated field expression that you can build in your queries. If you got some numbers that you're working with, you can really manipulate them just like you can in Excel using similar type of formulas that you might do in Excel. So anyways, with your assignment this week with the student's database, you can go ahead and just copy. You've got the calculated field expression in the Word document that has all the instructions on it. So go ahead and copy and paste that calculated field expression from your Word document over into your query and design view in this first box area that's available in your grid area. And that'll be the easy way because the expression is a little bit longer. If you make a mistake, you make a spelling mistake, you try to type it out directly, your expression is not going to run. So you get a little parameter box that will open up when you try to run your query. If you see a little parameter box asking for a parameter when you try to run your query, nothing displays, then you know you made a mistake with your calculated field expression. So anyways, hopefully this video was helpful for you. If you got any questions this week as you're working your tables or your query and access for your assignment this week, please contact me and I will talk to you later. Thanks.